On behalf of Atlas Skill Tech University, we extend a global welcome to all our esteemed panelists and participants for joining us for the finale day of the Global Innovation and Technology Summit, AAROHAN 3.0. Your presence at AAROHAN is a testimony that together we are striving to shape a better future. Before we commence with today's proceedings, a few general instructions for all the participants. Please use the Q&A box to post your questions during the panel discussion. Our moderator will select few questions to be answered live. At the end of today's session, we will share a feedback form link in the chat box. Kindly fill in to receive your SE certificate. All participants will receive the e-certificate at the end of the summit. We hope you will enjoy the discussion revolving around the need to rethink leadership, technology, and education for a disrupted global economy. As we proceed, we are in the august company of I would like to continue from here. Now I request Professor Aditya Kashyap, our Director of Excellent and Transdisciplinary Studies, to introduce the panelists.
Thank you, Dr. Sadaf. Good evening, good morning, or good afternoon to everyone joining us from different corners of the world. I am Aditya Kashyap, and I have the great privilege of moderating today's thought-provoking panel on rethinking leadership, technology, and education for a disrupted global economy as part of AAROHAN 3.0, the Global Innovation and Technology Summit hosted by Atlas Skill Tech University. This happens to be our third edition that we are hosting AAROHAN for the past 3 consecutive years. We are also grateful to our institutional partners, including Otis Elevator, FUCAPE Business School, Pennsylvania Western University, IIT Bombay, Babson College US, Shobit University India, RMIT University, University of Bristol, University of Sussex, and Parsons School of Design, the New School. As we navigate an era marked by disruption, digitization, and the rapid redefinition of what's possible, this conversation couldn't be more relevant. Our goal today is to explore how innovation and creativity, when driven by purpose and inclusivity, can shape our future for the better. We have an extraordinary panel of global thought leaders who bring deep expertise from across technology, policy, design, and education. Let me introduce them briefly. Dr. Mark Lennon, Professor of Innovation, Pennsylvania Western University, USA. Dr. Lennon is a tenured professor with over 15 years of academic and industry experience. He specializes in data analytics, research methodologies, marketing, and applied social sciences. His work bridges theory and practice, focusing on integrating AI into research to enhance data reliability. Renowned for his engaging teaching and international publications, he is a leading voice in innovation and data-driven decision-making. Welcome, Professor Lennon.
Well, thank you. And I can prove my age by putting in my hearing aids as you introduced me, my friend. But thank you. I'm delighted to be here, everyone.
Thank you. Warm welcome. Dr. Felipe Damasceno, Professor of Economics and Finance from the FUCAPE Business School, Brazil. Dr. Damasceno is a prominent economist and media commentator known for connecting academic research with practical economic insights. His work focuses on public policy, financial education, and the Brazilian economy. A regular voice on CBN, Vitoria, and columnist for A Gazeta, he excels at making complex economic topics accessible to the public while continuing to mentor students and contribute to national discourse. A very warm welcome to you. Dr. Vicky Crittenden, Professor of Marketing, Babson College, USA. Dr. Crittenden is an award-winning marketing professor, prolific author and editor. With a DBA from Harvard, she has held leadership roles at Babson and Boston College. Her research spans strategic marketing, technology, and entrepreneurship. Widely published and internationally recognized, she has received major accolades for her contributions to marketing education and mentorship. A very warm welcome to you, Dr. Vicky.
Thank you.
Dr. Danilo Talanskas, former managing director, Otis Elevator Company. Dr. Talanskas is a veteran business leader with experience at Otis, GE, Black& Decker, and Rockwell Automotive, an MBA graduate from BYU. He's also a published author and respected mentor. Beyond the corporate world, he is active in community and religious service, exemplifying leadership in both professional and personal spheres. A very warm welcome to you, Dr. Danilo. Professor Ranjit Singh, Vice Chancellor, Shobit University, India. Dr. Singh is an accomplished pharmaceutical scientist and academic leader with over 200 publications and 14 patent applications. He has held senior roles in academia and industry, guiding 30 plus PhD scholars, recognized with multiple national awards. He is committed to driving innovation and excellence in higher education and research. A very warm welcome to you, Professor Ranjit. Professor Sumit Saxena, Professor IIT Bombay, India. Dr. Saxena is a leading material scientist specializing in 2D materials, energy storage, and water purification. A PhD from NJIT USA with a postdoc experience at UIUC and Harvard. He heads the NEMO lab at IIT Bombay with patents and fellowships from global bodies. His work merges cutting edge research with sustainable innovation. A very warm welcome to the entire panel over here. We'll start with the discussion with the opening questions. My first question is for Dr. Danilo. In your experience leading a multinational in Brazil, what are the biggest leadership challenges in driving innovation within traditional industries, and how can they transform for the future? Over to you, Professor Danilo.
Well, thank you. First of all, I'm not a professor. I'm not a doctor. I appreciated all the titles you gave me. I'm so pleased. That's a very interesting question, because as an opposite to a technology business or a mature business, innovation comes from little leaps. I'll give you 3 examples for 3 companies that I led in Brazil. For instance, GE Healthcare. We had a real booming in the market share as we were able to develop a CT scan manufactured in Japan that fitted the Brazilian market. So we had a great initiative from a product manager that were able to fit such a specific product for the Brazilian needs. On the other hand, for instance, another example, and Rockwell Automation, the innovation came through distribution. A very mature business for decades, were able to spread out in the marketplace in Brazil through a new way of reaching the market. And the legacy experience, which is from Otis Elevator, was very simple, was to develop the focus on customer satisfaction. So we went from the almost bottom country on cancellations in maintenance to the 2-3 top ones in the world in about two years. What happened was always, I can really identify a very restless mind from managers. Always never satisfied. Even if everything seems fine, this restless mind looks for a better solution. To give just an example, I was many years ago on a business seminar when was announced the speaker, which was the Boris Kasparov, the big chess player and champion. And I thought, well, what this guy will bring for business. It was one of the best speeches I ever heard, because he put it a phrase. He said, "I'm my own enemy." In other words, I need to innovate after every game, because millions of people saw my plays, everything I do. So for every new game, I have to invent myself in order to keep up on the good position. So I would say that's the summary. Whatever the business, even in a mature business, in leadership, you have to have people with the restless mind to look for better solutions. Even everything is fine and no need is needed. That will be my summary for your question.
Thank you. So I think that was quite insightful. And one of the key things that comes out over here is really focus on customer satisfaction. And that becomes kind of a key driving point for any outcome-driven process that we do in terms of the theme that we're talking about. Moving on to the next question, and that would be for Professor Felipe. What shifts do you believe business education must undergo in order to foster a culture of innovation and creativity in future leaders?
Hello. First of all, it's really good to be here. Thank you for this invitation. Business education needs to find a better balance between theory and practice. Theory gives leaders the ability to think clearly, to see connections, and understand complex situations. It teaches them to analyze problems, consider different perspectives, and make decisions based on evidence. Without this foundation, leaders risk making decisions that are short-term and reactive. But theory alone is not enough. In a real world, markets move fast, technology changes quickly, and problems are rarely simple. Leaders also need to know how to apply these ideas, test solutions, and adapt them to adapt to things that is not as planned. This is why practical learning is essential. You can do this through projects, teamwork, simulations, and work with real companies. The most important change in business education is to integrate these two worlds in a natural way. Students should not spend years only listen to lectures and be sent to markets unprepared for real life complexity. Instead, learning should be an active from the start. They can study leadership theory in the morning and apply this project with a startup or an NGO in the afternoon. They can explore business models in class and then visit companies to see how these models work in practice. This combination helps students connect knowledge with action. It also builds the confidence to innovate because they have practice taking risk, solving problems, and learning from mistakes in a safe environment. If you want future leaders to create and innovate, we must train them to move between ideas and action easily, and so they can apply this when they go to the market.
Thank you, Professor Felipe. I think one of the key takeaways over here is converting theory in practice and finding synergies in a way to simulate what we learn probably in a very organized academic structure into the real world. And that kind of emerges very well with the kind of simulations that are happening out there. And also, it's more about, I think, sensitization and awareness that has to go across the students. So I'm just going to link this through and probably the next question that links very well over here is for Professor Mark Lennon. From your work in innovation systems, what frameworks or principles do you believe are most effective for fostering innovation at scale, especially in diverse socio-economic contexts?
Thank you. And actually, first off, let me build. First off, thank the previous panelists, Danilo and Felipe, for setting up the answer to this question very nicely. And I'll definitely have to look up that Kasparov research. But I loved your phrase, what was it, small leaps. And I loved your phrase too, restless minds. And that ties nicely with Felipe talking about this natural balance between theory and practice. Because in my mind, when you said that phrase, I do a lot, and to answer your question, I do a lot of work with the technology acceptance model. This is a tried and true, but still very much useful model. I mean, to show you the age beyond hearing aids, this was actually originally developed in Harvard to analyze acceptance of the use of Excel by MBA students. All right. But I like this model because it looks at accesses by which people will adopt technology. And what I liked about Danila's statement of small leaps is that part and parcel of that is what's called the technological leapfrogging, where we go from one technology and jump right into another. But I've never really bought into that because having spent many years in Japan, especially working at a semiconductor firm, and other folks who are in industry, who have worked in industry, know it's more. I prefer Kaizen, the small and incremental improvements. So I sort of now, after your guys' presentations or answers, have this working title in my mind of Little Leaps, Kaizen meets a technological acceptance model for AI adoption. I do a lot of work with AI adoption right now, applications of generative AI. And to answer your question specifically of what kind of framework do we need so that we can come up with innovation that's useful and also that can be scalable, is I think AI is a great example. I used to do a lot of research in fintech and mobile phones, but AI is better in that because even your students at your school can come up with a great idea, rapidly prototype it, test it out. And then, from a theoretical standpoint, then we've got reams of data sets that we can then test the model on and then build from there. I think that ties in nicely with what everyone's talking about here of saying that incremental, yes, you can have the big breakthrough idea, but then you have to work backwards and say, test it. Okay, will it work? Will it not? And in regard to, what is the ideal framework? I would say there isn't. I think it's very, I mean, we have tons of different models. I happen to use technology acceptance model, but now that we have the ability with generative AI to rapidly make prototyping, rapidly make testing, I think that's the key to scaling new technologies and innovations.
Thank you. So I think what you're also trying to emphasize is that there's no golden playbook in that sense.
No, no, and in fact, I would say instead of using the word playbook, I would use the word crucible. In that you're taking technology, you're taking ideas, you're taking marketings, and you're breaking them down into the fundamental areas. So, instead of golden, I would say alchemy more than anything else.
Perfect. That sums it all, I think, in
I
one.
think so.
I'll move on to Professor Vicky. The question for you is, how do you see the role of marketing evolving in a world where innovation cycles are shrinking and consumer expectations are rising exponentially?
First, thank you all very much. One, for having me on this webinar, but two, it's so interesting to hear what the other speakers have commented on and how that comes back into what I think about marketing in the 21st century and as we're headed into 2026. Whenever I was thinking about this question, the first thing that jumped to my mind is this major word, agility. And I think that goes back to what some of the other speakers were talking about when we're talking about the small leaps let's go all the way back to Mr. Talanka's comments on that. The small leaps, this restless mind. Whenever I'm with my students, I always begin a session or when I'm meeting with executives and trying to get everyone to think about that customer journey. What do we as customers, what happens in our minds? What processes are we going through? And I think this also goes into Dr. Felipe's comments about balancing theory and practice. In theory, I know that customers go through a logical process. And I know that my students and people need to understand that logical process. But at the same time, I know that in practice, I as a customer and you as a purveyor of some point actually jump rapidly through those steps. The steps are still there. So this idea of the restless mind, the small leaps, we go through it, but it appears to be in very short increments. Think about it from a perspective of what's going on as my brain is whirring. I think that what we have to do as marketers is to be very agile and understand that. This idea that Mark brought up with the rapid prototyping. I have my students in day 3 of a Principles of Marketing class. They have to rapid prototype something for a generational cohort that I have assigned to them. They use generative AI to do that. And then we step back that whole semester and I can get the students to now think about the importance of a target market. Generative AI can give me information quickly that back in my doctoral program might take 6 months to get. Gen AI can give that to me with, let's just throw out there a high percentage of accuracy. How's that? So I don't have to do that, but I always have to step back then and think about my target market. So I'll wrap it up then by saying when I get them to think back to that target market, I then tell them the next important step for them is the importance of content marketing, storytelling. I have to be able to tell that story in a way that is going to reach the target market. And if they don't understand that target market, then we're not going anywhere with that. So I guess the two things that I think are agility and content marketing are what I think are so important for the future, if you will, of marketing.
So if I think this goes to say that we're trying to humanize more and more with the higher percentage usage of GPT.
I, I will confess that I am a firm believer in that. And my students, if once the semester starts and previous students would tell you Professor Crittenden is rabid about ChatGPT, that we have to be able to understand the value and how much benefit it can bring us. And if we don't, we're not going to be able to have those small leaps. And that restless mind is just going to be you as a person having a restless mind as your competitor leapfrogs ahead of you because they have essentially captured the restless mind.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank
Moving
you.
on, Professor Sumit, as an educator and researcher at one of India's top tech institutions, how do you see the balance between deep tech development and responsible innovation in evolving the next decade?
Uh, Thank you, Dr. Aditya, for having me on this panel. And there are a lot of good points which have been raised by the previous panelists here, especially when Vicky was talking about ChatGPT. Of course, if we are using AI, I mean, of course, this is also related to how innovation and a responsible use of technology has to be done. Of course, one can use AI methods, chat GPT, for doing something which is probably unethical or something like that. But it's also fairly important that one needs to really use these technologies which have been developed, and then bring them to the full potential. So that was, I just wanted to carry on what Professor Vicky was saying. But as a material scientist, and we have a good pool of students, one of the best institutes in the country. What I feel is that material science being core of almost every engineering division, you can say. So when we talk about startups and responsible innovation, these are two I should not say different things, but they are of course interrelated with each other. But making sure that the technology or the deep tech startup that you have is for a responsible what do you call uh, innovation, one needs to be really careful, because one technology can be used for good purpose. It can also be misused for something else, like for example a GPS. Right, you can use a GPS to find your way to home or somewhere, but the same GPS also can be used in fighter planes and bomb wherever you feel like. Right. So it is mostly, so when it, technologist develops a technology, it's mostly for, intended for a good purpose. But, it can be used. So it's basically, I mean, as an inventor of the technology, it's fairly difficult to make sure. But yes, I agree with you that there has to be, uh, a responsible approach, right? So this, for in order to this to happen, I mean, the technology development or the deep tech innovations has to go towards, human-centric approach. What are the problems which people are facing for societal benefits, right? Let's say, for example, in the current situation, we have two major problems, which I think almost everybody will agree to. One is water, access to clean water, and other is energy, right? And a lot of research is going on, is being developed in these areas. Right. So, and there is a big need for, not only, India as a country to develop solutions to address these problems, but globally also. I know I mean, I have few friends in Brazil, and they have a lot of this, let's say, mercury problem in some areas where, people are drinking mercury contaminated water in Japan, in India, we have arsenic problem. So, that innovation and technology has to go in a direction where one can solve these problems, and not only solving these problems will help society at benefit, but there is a need in terms of commercial interests, right? So it basically solves both purposes. See, as a startup, one needs to make money also, right? So it solves both purposes in a startup, that you are able to have commercial gains out of it, as well as you are solving a problem for the society, right? So but this should also include what do you call, representation from the society itself, right? Without creating a bias. As technologists, when we develop a technology, we have our own sense of okay, this is what we want to do. But when you go to the market, or when you go to the user, their perception of using a technology may be completely off, right? So that communication skill, or sorry, not that communication link has to be established, and one needs to work with the stakeholders when one is doing that and going for a startup. So I think one has to be very careful in doing when you are going ahead with a startup, especially in deep tech.
Sure, thank you. So I think just to summarize, what we're trying to get to here is understanding our stakeholders, which is very important, understanding what needs to be communicated and how often that needs to be communicated, to get a clarity on why are we using the technology? Basically, that's where responsibility comes in. And as your example said about the GPS, very evidently that it is ethical use of the tech which is available to us. Moving on, and this is for Professor Ranjit Singh. As a Vice Chancellor, what systemic changes do you believe are necessary in university governance or policy frameworks to foster interdisciplinary innovation and technology-driven transformation?
Thank you, Aditya. It is wonderful to be part of this diverse and learned panel. Thank you, organizers. What I feel being a part of university, and that too a private university situated in a rural background, I think these changes should be focused on. The very first thing is flexibility, so that we shift from silos to flexible models. And as we are dealing in education sector, so it should be learner-centric models. Now use of technology, online, offline, hybrid mode, and for that, whatever tool we need. Then we have to integrate technology across disciplines. We have to teach about the technology. We have to establish interdisciplinary centers which facilitate collaboration so that interdisciplinary innovation is promoted. Then we have to promote digital literacy. That's what I see from my point of view, being university here in a rural background. And obviously fostering partnership and strengthening this partnership with industry for skilling or experiential learning. Now that will be supported well by streamlined governance structures. And now, because technology is playing a big role, so we have to go for data-driven decision making so that data is analyzed, we understand the needs of the students, we optimize the teaching methods, and we shift toward what you call as personalized learning. So technology integration obviously has to play a very important role. We have to develop online platforms for learning that we are doing obviously, but this is just the beginning. We have to establish teaching learning centers because if you want to make optimum use of technology, then you have to skill the teachers even. And obviously we have to use technology like to embrace metaverse so that immersive and instructive learning is given. So policy implementation is one part. There you need only few changes in the policy. If I speak about the Indian context, then NEP 2020 say about that, the National Education Policy. Then there is a provision for in National Credit Framework and outcome-based education. So we need to promote the culture of innovation. And as a leader, we have to be a transformative leaders. We have to engage students in decision making. We have to foster diversity and inclusion so that access and equity to the education is improved. And we have to ensure long-term sustainability. So by doing so, we will be able to create an environment which will foster interdisciplinary innovation. We will be producing future-proof students who knows what skills are needed and they will be skilled. And then we can effect technology-driven transformation. That is my say. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So I think this is purely talking about fostering interdisciplinary conversations before we get into actually breaking the silos. And one of my key roles at Atlas is also about transdisciplinary learning. And we've been trying to experiment quite a bit in terms of breadth of knowledge, depth of specialization across different disciplines. And I think there's a lot of conversation, even from the policy point of view, in terms of implementing cross-disciplinary learning, because that's the need of the hour. And I'm going to link that probably with Mr. Danilo. We keep talking about interdisciplinary, cross-disciplinary, and in the long run, what most of the recruiters, most of the leaders across the globe are talking about, having a generalist mindset, but also while being specialists in what you do. What's your take on that? How would you interpret that from within your practice and your experience?
Well, you're a specialist today to put me in traps, because the first comment, I couldn't have any other comment to make from other panelists, which is nice. And with your question, is a fantastic question, because you start always as an specialist, but today, as the time passes on a career, you have to have a broader and broader mind. So it is impossible even to survive in a corporate world or academic world if you are focused in a funnel of specialization. And as broader your knowledge in every areas, in let's say in sciences, in literature, philosophy, or even other fields, broader is the view for business or for your own purpose. For instance, I fully agree with Dr. Crittenden. I hope I'm spelling fine, well, about IE, because that's the way I learned. And today, let's say the older generation are having more familiarity with the IE because let's say, we know much more how to write, how to expand thinking, and in this way, having much more easiness to go deep into artificial intelligence. So just summarizing what you said, today, a fully specialized person will not survive, although they need to have a start and broaden that funnel, but complement it with a very broad view of the world in many instances.
Sure, I
I
think.
hope that's what you meant by your question.
Sure, thank you. I think that adds a lot of value to dig deeper into what we were trying to get to, which certainly does. I think Professor Crittenden has something to add to this as well.
Yes, I would just like to follow up on that with the thinking about the specialist versus generalist. This is in academia. This is not anything that's new. It's
Yeah.
a decades old. I want to say I'm gonna, for lack of a better word, right now call it a problem. Even back in the late 1980s, when I was working on my doctorate, this was my dissertation, was the problem with, you know, cross-functional integration, and that we were training so many specialists, but when we got out into the real world, as Douglas said, it's not that way. We make specialist related decisions, but if we want to be strategic, we have to have that generalist mindset. And so it's always intriguing to me that here we are, in 2025. So essentially, decades later, whether it's in academia or in the real world, haven't figured out how to accomplish this. If we could just instill this idea that was just said, yes, you have to know a particular area to really lay the groundwork, but then you have to be able to step back and embrace what others know specifically and be able to add that to your thinking. I think that is what is so critical. And if any of us could figure out how to do that, I think we would be really setting up people to be a rock star.
Perfect. I think Dr. Mark, you have something to add to that. Yeah.
Yeah, I do. I think you all make a great point. And when I first was thinking of a response on that, I was thinking something I know about, which is like, sailing. I do small boat sailing, and I think, okay, in a ship, you have your defined roles, But if you don't know smart enough to pull up the anchor or pull in the sail, you're going nowhere. And then as an example of the utility of AI in education, how about this? A cricket player needs specialist training like a bowler perfecting spin or a batsman mastering cover drives to excel in their role. But they also need general skills, fitness, fielding, game awareness that makes them adaptable and valuable to the whole team. Now, I use that simply because look at the audience that we're speaking to right now. I mean, everybody, every cricket fan in this room has suddenly like gotten a grin on their face. Now, I don't know jack about cricket, okay? I've seen it a couple of times when I was on a Fulbright, and I even tried playing the game, and I'm like, I'm not a sportsman. I'll give up now, you know? But the point being is going back to what Vicky is talking about, and earlier professors were talking about here. And congratulations, Danilo, you're a professor for today. Okay, let's just go with it. It'll make life easy. Okay. By the way, bom dia. I'm going to be doing a Fulbright in Brazil, so I'm going to look you guys up. I'll
Bon
buy you a
dia.
beer.
Good.
Bom
Well,
dia.
bon dia for my colleague here, Professor
Yes, I was going to say.
Damasceno, because we're in the
But
morning here.
yeah, well, me too, my friend. I'm at, well, not too bad, 10,
Oh,
11. But
yeah.
usually my Indian conversations are like 1 a.m. or so. But the point being is that the beautiful thing about generative AI, and I think what ties nicely, and Vicky, I think everybody can be rock stars if you realize you can actually train models to your domain. All right. I mean, if you start, I have a good friend of mine, I did a lot of work with IBM, and I took his patent application, ran it through this little, one of the AI software tools that I use, and I was like, okay, put this in plain English, okay, and make a little presentation about it. And then the man says, oh, well, later, well, that's real, actually quite good, but it's really sort of marketing oriented. I'm like, yeah, because it's from this AI tool is from a marketing based firm. It's like Irving, you want me to rerun it on my MIT one? I mean, it's just like it's not even don't shoot the messenger anymore. It's like, give the messenger more ammo so that they can fire more, quivers in their bow or whatever. Well, listen to me, arrows in their quivers. I'm terrible at these analogies of this. I ought to use my AI. But I think we have this ability, and I think this is what we must instill in our students, that yes, you can use these tools. Yes, you have a certain superficial level of knowledge, but if you then don't take the time to become deeper understanding of specialization, you're useless. I mean, so.
Perfect. I think that was quite a gas shift, to be honest, and I think it made a lot of sense and added value to what we're trying to get to. We're talking about leadership. We're talking about emerging technology. We're talking about specialization. One of the things that stands across over here is kind of entrepreneurial thinking. And I'm just going to let Dr. Mark again, maybe for a bit, continue on this.
I'll be short. I refuse. I won't use this. Go ahead. What's your question,
Yeah, so
DJ?
because that's what I kind of noted, and I just want you to spend some time on this. Is there are many universities that claim to foster entrepreneurial thinking in a way, or even organizations, right? And or maybe entrepreneurship. In your view, what is the single most efficient, maybe style pedagogical change required to truly build entrepreneurial capacity? That's basis what your understanding is.
Give them a problem, just like Vicky was saying, give them a problem and say, go at it. Okay. Don't tell them these are the tools you can use, these are the resources you have. No, forget that. That doesn't work that way in life. I love the comment of restless mind. I've got another one for you, avaricious mind. Okay. Because when you're in business, avarice is a good thing. You're constantly looking for efficiencies, be it in manufacturing, be it in technology, be it how to sell the darn product, and efficiencies in communication. So I argue that less is more. And I'll give you an example and I'll wrap. Is when I teach my entrepreneurship classes, has everyone ever seen the movie Apollo 13 with Tom Hanks? The concept is it was Apollo 13. They lost one of the major problems they had was they lost the power that they lost their air filtration system. So one of the most powerful scenes in the movie, from my perspective, is on the ground. They throw all the junk on the table that they actually have, that the astronauts actually have to access to, and they say to the engineers, "Okay, you got 90 minutes to come up with a workable solution using only these supplies." To come up with a viable solution, in this case, an air filtration system. I find so much more greater creativity and entrepreneurial thinking, quote unquote, when people have less, when they're forced to solve a problem with far limited resources. And, it's like the old axiom, you ask an economist how to, solve problem, a can opener, and they're like, oh, well, if we had this, or if we had this, and we don't have that. We have what we have at present. And that's how I think you foster entrepreneurial thinking.
Can I make a comment on this?
Sure.
Well, that's a great example, and you touched on a very important point, which shows that as much as the pressure, creativity blows, and the real challenge in an organization if they see everything is fine, or I'm
Right.
having great results, I'm having a very good market share, and the
Why rock
pressure
the boat? Yeah. Yeah.
just goes away. So the challenge in leadership is to keep. Can you repeat your expression, Dr. Len?
Which one?
Restless, what?
Avaricious minds. Avaricious minds.
Apparitions. Okay.
See,
That
gentlemen, folks,
that
if you, I'm going to do a paper now, Avaricious AI. Whoever wants to co-author, let me know at the end here. Aditya will chat.
sure.
But yeah, I agree. I
Really,
mean,
to have this
yeah.
mind under when you're not under pressure, or and everything seems fine.
Right.
I think that's a real challenge.
Well, it goes back to Andy Grove and Intel from years ago, where although I was rereading his biography, autobiography recently, because I'm going to assign it to my students, and it was attributed to him. So he said, "Sure, I'll take it." A good Hungarian guy that I love. He said that only the paranoid survive. I mean, if you go to your classroom, it's like Vicky, I'm sure you do this. It's like I go into my class assuming I have done a horrible job in the previous class. How can I connect with these people better? And anytime I love teaching the same class back to back, because I'm suddenly like, oh, in the morning session, oh yeah, that clicked. Okay, great. I'll reuse the material. So it's kind of like what you were saying, Danilo, earlier about Kasparov, of like, yeah, they've seen my tricks, but they haven't seen it in certain combinations, in certain high pressure situations where I need to pull out creativity to, in his case, to get checkmate on an opponent.
So I'm just going to add in over here. We are talking about mind mapping. We're talking about pretty much psychology in some points here and there. And we do have an economist on the panel, Professor Felipe. If I may just kind of bring this to your attention and for you to answer this, is do you think, or maybe if you do believe in behavioral economics, do you think what role does behavioral economics and gamification play in improving long-term entrepreneurial skills? I mean, maybe for a university. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great question. I believe it's play a really important role because in the end of the time, we have to have we need new ways to teach students and new ways to uh, make market challenges to become real life projects for our classrooms. So behaviors economics is bringing a real life challenges to the classroom because we know that rationality is really beautiful on books, but when we go to the market, when it goes to real life, we have to doubt the concept of rationality for all the time at least. We have to understand that most of the people have making decisions that are not rational, or they have been making decisions that they don't analyze the information that they have all the time. So in the end of the day, behavioral economics play a really important role. And gamification of the market situations it helps to understand in a safe environment how to make decisions, how to decision making helps us to understand. Oh, sorry, the gamification in decision making help us understand the complex environment and the complexity of our decision and how the results are happening in the end of the day. So when we are talking about gamification and you are talking about uh, behavior economics, bring these tools together to teach entrepreneurship or teach economics, teach how to create new leaders for our economics is really important. And it helps to create a professional that is more integrated with real life problems and real complexity problems. So I think it's a real good way to teach how to uh, be more prepared to our future in the market. So I really good like this tools to teach students and how to use this new complexity to understand a little bit more about how the market works.
So I always had this notion about rational thinking, and I always used to think, what is the probability of most human beings making rational choices? And
Really
the
small,
probability.
really, really small.
So, so basically, that kind of nullifies everything that we are speaking right now in a way, because if that's the case, then as Dan Eiley says, we are actually predictably irrational, and not just irrational, right? So I think that's quite evident. I mean, I think Mark's unmute himself. So, did you want to add something, Dr. Mark?
Well, I was just going to say, even the insane are logical.
Yeah.
Okay. I think we have spurts of rationality. All right. I mean, Vicky's a marketing expert. You know how it is. I mean, you go through this whole series of, you know, is it for utilitarian reasons, hedonistic reasons that I decide to buy something or other? But then going back to Danilo's point about, when it comes to pressure, I'm like, okay, buy these carrots. Don't go for this one. I mean, if you have to make a quick decision, it is amazing how quickly people can act rationally, at least from the perspective at the moment. You know, I mean, maybe buying, I'm a middle-aged man, maybe buying the big sports car is not a smart idea for the family, and I don't, but for the moment, it seemed like the right thing to do.
Okay, I
It
agree with
seems
that, but in the end of the day, if you are talking about rationality in economics, we are talking about rationality all the time, and
Yeah,
rationality in
I
the long
realize that.
term. Yeah.
Oh, I
And
realize that, Philip. I realize, yeah. I'm a firm believer. I mean, I teach for a living. Trust me, I have no confidence in the rationality of the human mind, none, mine own included. Yeah.
yeah. No, but what I want to say is just that I truly believe that all decisions, when the decision making is going through, people think they are good decisions because that's why they make it. But not all the time. It's really true, right? So in the end of the day, rationality goes on the water.
Oh, yeah, well, it goes back to,
you start
did you
to,
want a
sorry.
good plan now or a great plan next week? I mean,
Yeah.
it's like you make the decision now, I mean, you take your shot and you talk about entrepreneurism, and entrepreneuriality, and then you can get, I think, I don't know about you, Vicky, but it's like one of the problems I have with my students and then the startups that I advise is, uh, paralysis of analysis. I mean, it's just like with students, like, well, you turn the paper in. No, I'm not going to preview it. Just turn the bloody thing in. I mean, for those of us with doctorates, the best advice always was, what's the best dissertation? A done dissertation. Yeah.
I think that the big discovery, I think, in my opinion, on how irrational we are. It's now going into artificial intelligence, and
Right.
it's a clash, because one side don't understand emotions, don't
Right.
understand nothing irrational, and the human with this tons of irrationality. I think that's where makes a wonderful combination if the right dialogue and in integration is made with artificial intelligence. But I discovered myself um, how irrational is the human being as we face the reality, the artificial intelligence.
Perfect. So I think what I'm going to do is in the realm of rationality or irrationality, Professor Professor Sumit, your work sits at the confluence of physics, engineering, material sciences, so on and so forth. Uh, and since because Mr. Danilo has already spoken about AI, where do you think is going to be the next big technological breakthrough? Probably in your field or otherwise, just otherwise, if you think so.
Well, that's a difficult question. The reason is
To whom is the question? Sorry. To whom is the question directed?
This is to Professor Sumit.
Yeah.
Well,
So that's
sorry.
Yeah. See, the reason is that, we have already kind of discussed this before that, in the current situation, the technology has developed so much that, being a specialist doesn't really work. Right. You have to have that bigger vision and broader understanding of different areas. Then only, you will be able to move forward in the current situation. It's simply because the technology, see, if you go 40, 50 years back, the science and the technology at that point of time was not as developed as what it is right now. Right. Even let's say, if you have to use an AI model, let's come to AI. Right. Let's say I want to find out the lifetime of a bearing, a simple ball bearing which is used in your fan. Right. So I should understand not just the AI part of it, how it works. I should also know the material properties. I should also know a little bit of mechanical engineering. Right. So you can't just be a computer scientist working on algorithms and do the job. You need to understand everything. Right. So it's fairly difficult to say, one such area, but what my take on this is that, see, as I told in my, when I was talking just a couple of minutes back, that now water and energy are two major sectors where we definitely need a breakthrough. Now we are trying to go towards, renewable energy sources, right? Especially for transportation, we are looking at EVs. So currently, the current technology is coming, is most favorite, let me say, or people are using is lithium-ion technology, right? Lithium-ion batteries. The problem with lithium-ion battery is, I mean, it is a good technology, but do we have sufficient lithium to take care, right? So as per predictions, by 2030, 35, we'll be running out of sufficient lithium to produce the batteries. So then we need to go to recyclability of, whatever is being produced. Even that, if that is taken care of, at one point or the other, the demands are increasing so much that, at one point or the other, it is going to exhaust. Lithium is not a rich element in the Earth's crust. So we need to find something which is available, readily in nature, right? So that is one, area I think where major, breakthrough has to come. Then, water is something like, if you go from one place to the other, water is something it's very difficult to deal with. It's a very simple, thing, but you change the place, the water changes, the problem changes. one problem, one solution which is developed for a particular region may or may not work for a different region. I mean, you can say, okay, RO is the technology, but then, RO removes everything virtually. So it's, water without anything, which is not good for your health, and
Sure.
which people are now realizing also. So I think, these environmental related areas, or, these are the areas where we need a major breakthrough, and there's a lot of focus actually, not from the researchers, but also from the governments, right? And if you look at the sustainable development goals also, a lot of them are dealing with, these environmental issues. So it definitely has to come from one of these areas. So that's my take on this. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you so much. I think in the interest of time, what I'm going to do is pick up a question from the Q&As. And there's one very interesting one. I'm just going to rephrase that in a way. And any one probably, but maybe if this could be taken by Professor Ranjit, what one shift, either technological or cultural or educational, do you believe will define innovation in the next decade? Because we're also talking in the context of you being an integral part of the NEP, National Education Policy. So, what in your context would that be?
I think it's like what I told in the beginning is flexibility, finishing those silos, working together as a team. But Professor Sumit was saying that you cannot be specialist. You to need to know many things. But I feel when you work together, so those things will come together and we will be able to give output. So that flexibility is one part which will play an important role here. Working together, I mean.
Sure. I'm just going to open up one dialogue for everyone on the panel over here. And that would be is if you would have any advice to give emerging leaders navigating disruption. And anyone could take this if you want to get started, and we'll just do a very quick 2 minute sort of a discussion on this. I'll just repeat that again. What advice would you give to emerging leaders navigating disruption today?
Well, I would
Who is
say
starting?
very quickly. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Mr. Danilo.
Okay, I would say very quickly is I come back to the thinking of always try new things. And when I say when we talk about technology, I would say to put your hands and do something. Every time something new really comes. You know, I'm 74, and I was a little bit luckier than Mark because I put my hearing aids 1 second before the camera came.
You're more prepared.
But what I mean is, I keep trying to learn. You know, I developed some things on my own, let's say, without any pushing for one of my customers as a consultant in artificial intelligence, something that the young people had no idea what to do. So I felt like the grandpa teaching the youth how to use technology. This is unbelievable. It's against any thought in my mind in the past. So my advice, not advice, but testimony is keep not only learning, but practicing. Give little steps in learning every new technology. Put your hands on and don't be afraid. Just keep hanging and experimenting.
Perfect. Did anyone else want to add on to that, or?
Well, just speaking from, I don't want to jump the gun on others from North America or specifically the United States, but when you have wholesale attempts at destroying cultural, governmental, societal organizations and undermining confidence in them by, firing the person who brings you bad job numbers. All right. It just says to me, okay, we're on our own, as individuals. And I agree with Danilo of we just have to constantly start learning and developing our own new systems and our own way of doing things because I think Suma you hit the nail on the head when it comes to next technology. I mean, I think your question of like, what is the next big technology breakthrough? I mean, come on, if we knew that, we'd be billionaires. Okay, we don't. But what we do know is here are the problems that we're going to be facing, and here's where goes back to both the restless mind and the avaricious mind. As soon as Exxon Mobiles of the world realize, hey, there's money in desalination. As soon as there's money in realizing that, we could start doing solar more effectively as opposed to, our current petroleum-based business model, then we're going to see major change on the corporate level. But until that point, it's the small folks, it's the entrepreneurs, it's the students, it's folks like us just having these discussions that may gender ideas or engender ideas that will make the changes in academia that will then permeate to our students, which then hopefully will manifest in developing technologies and solutions to the very pressing climate, et cetera, crises that we are facing.
Perfect. Thank you so much. In the interest of time, what I'm going to do is move on to a very quick rapid fire round, and we'll close with that. I would request if all the panel members here could restrict your answers to either one word or a phrase. And probably I'll keep my questions more complicated than your answers. So the first one, let's get started maybe with Dr. Vicky. What's one trait marketeers of the future must master that wasn't as critical a decade ago?
Lack of being defensive.
Okay, perfect. Professor Ranjit, if you had a choice, one breakthrough innovation in Indian higher education that could inspire global system, what would it be?
Uh, Technology adoption in real sense.
Okay. Professor Sumit, which material or technology in your lab today has the highest potential to change how we live in the next decade?
Graphene.
Okay. Uh, Mr. Danilo, what's one timeless leadership lesson you want to say to the world out today?
Keep learning.
Okay. Dr. Felipe, if every citizen understood just one economic principle, which one would best prepare them for a tech-driven future?
Markers are efficient, but not always.
Okay. And the last and the final one for Dr. Mark. What's one AI-powered research tool or method that you believe will become non-negotiable for tomorrow's innovation leaders?
Haiku.ai.
All right. Perfect. Thank you so much. We come to an end of the discussion for today. On a short thank you note, dear esteemed panelists, on behalf of Atlas Skill Tech University and the Arohan 3.0 organizing team, I extend my heartfelt thanks to each of you for your valuable time, the deep insights, and thoughtful contributions to today's.
Two words. I appreciate being here. I never expected a conversation like in my living room. I had a lot of fun, and thank you very much.
Thank you.
Can
Thank
I
you.
bring out my cat now?
Thank you so much. I would certainly extend my heartfelt thanks to each one of you for your valuable time, deep insights, and thoughtful contributions to today's panel discussion, which was on global perspective on innovation, technology, and education. Your diverse perspectives from all the fields, design, policy, technology, interdisciplinary innovation that we've been talking about, not only enriched the conversation, but also offered our global audience a true multidimensional view of the future we are collectively building. It has been an absolute privilege to moderate this session and learn from each of you. Thank you once again for making this dialogue impactful and inspiring and intellectually engaging. We do look forward to staying connected and exploring opportunities for collaboration in the future. With this, we would end the panel discussion. Once again, a very big thank you from Atlas Skilltech University.
Thank
Thank
you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you for this talk.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We'll keep in touch, Mark, if you don't mind.
Oh, great. I'd love to. Yeah. And yeah, I'm Mark PhD, markphd.com. You can find me anybody.
Okay.
It's easy.
Well, you have a last name which I love. You know why?
Ah, very good. Well, I'm kind of used to
Nice.
it now. So.
Thank you.
We'll be in
Okay.
touch too. Great. All right. Thank you,
Bye-bye.
everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Heartfelt gratitude to all our esteemed panelists and our dear moderator, Professor Aditya Kashyap, for succinctly sharing such enriching insights for crafting a transformative future, revolving around the need to rethink leadership, technology, and education for a disrupted global economy. Now I invite the President of Student Research and Development Cell, Ms. Khushi Doshi, for the valedictory. The SRDC has been the spine of AAROHAN since its inception. Khushi, I request you to announce the awardees for the best paper presentations for AAROHAN 3.0.
Thank you so much, ma'am. AAROHAN has always been about pushing boundaries and honoring brilliance. And this year, we've had the privilege of hosting outstanding minds representing leading universities, institutes, and organizations from multiple countries. Today, we recognize their contributions and the impact they've created through the conference. Before we begin, we'd like to take a quick moment to thank the guiding forces behind this event, our distinguished chairs. Your expertise, support, and dedication have been the driving force behind AAROHAN 3.0. Our first category celebrates emerging researchers who've shown outstanding innovation with their papers. Please join us in congratulating the winners of the Emerging Researcher Award. First up, we have Mr. Vijaya Nanda from PBMEIT Visakhapatnam in Andhra Pradesh, India. This award is proudly given to Mr. Vijaya for the paper Recent Trends on Financial Inclusion and Affordable Housing Schemes in India. Congratulations. We now have Dr. Neha Gangwar from IIBM Institute of Business Management for the paper Breaking Barriers, a Bibliometric Analysis of Current Research and Trends of Transgender Workplace Inclusion. We also have Dr. Ayusha Negi from IFTM University in Uttar Pradesh for her paper on NMBs for dual functional applications, photocatalytic degradation of tetracycline antibiotic and piezoelectric-driven hydrogen evolution. Congratulations to all in the emerging researcher category. Next up, our category in honors researchers whose work has made very exceptional contributions to their fields. Please join me in congratulating winners of the Outstanding Contribution Award. Our first certificate is proudly presented to Tin Zhao Lin from Myanmar Imperial College for their paper titled Financial Sustainability of Local Non-Governmental Organizations in the Tananthari region of Myanmar. Congratulations. We also have Ms. Divya Thakur, Dr. Shanti Suresh from Atlas Skilltech University and SIAS College of Commerce and Economics for their paper titled Bridging Policy in Practice, Understanding Faculty Behavior in the Adoption of Swayam MOOCs under NEP 2020. Our next Outstanding Contribution Award is proudly presented to Ms. Vinita Nair and Daiju Vidyathil from Panyaden International School in Chiang Mai in Thailand for their paper titled Shifting Paradigms, the Influence of AI on Ethical and Humanistic Values in Educational Environments. Congratulations. Our Outstanding Contribution Award is also presented to Mr. Siddesh Varikar from Atlas Skilltech University for the paper titled Recent Trends on Financial Inclusion and Affordable Housing Schemes in India. Our Outstanding Contribution Award is also proudly presented to Anisa Putri and Eri Dwi Baba from PT Hutama Karyo, the Republic of Indonesia, for their paper titled Utilizing the Concrete Maturity Method for In-Situational and Real-Time Monitoring Using Portable Devices in the Construction Industry. Each of you has set a standard of research excellence that inspires others to aim higher. Our final category recognizes the very best of the best, research papers that stood out in quality, originality, and impact. Please join me in congratulating the Best Paper Award winners. In the third position, with a cash award of Rs 5,000, we have Swapnil Pawar and Dr. Priya Vij from the Department of Computer Science and Engineering from Kalinga University in Jaipur, India. The Best Paper Award in the third place is proudly given to them for their paper, A Blockchain Integrated DevOps Framework for Secure and Scalable Supply Chain Management in Agricultural Produce Market Committees. In the second place, with a cash award of Rs 10,000, we have Dr. Yuvika Singh from the ICFAI University in Himachal Pradesh, given to them for their paper Unlocking Employee Potential Through Reciprocal Relationships. And finally, in the first place, with a cash award of Rs 15,000, we have Dr. Meenakshi Sharma from the Institute of Management Sciences, IMS Jammu, proudly given to them for their paper on Auditing AI Integration in India and Higher Education, a web-based assessment of the top 50 HEAs using a structured checklist framework. A huge congratulations to all of our winners and our participants for their groundbreaking work and commitment to research excellence. Thank you.
All the awardees and to all the participants. Dear participants, please ensure you submit the feedback. The link will be given in the chat box and the e-certificates will be provided to all the participants to submit their forms. As we come to this concluding moment, and as the VUCA world faces unprecedented challenges and opportunities, embracing diverse global perspectives is essential for fostering meaningful innovation and transformative change. By integrating creativity with cutting-edge technology and inclusive thinking, societies can co-create solutions that not only advance progress, but also ensure it is equitable and sustainable. The future depends on just on what we build, but also how we think, collaborate, and innovate across borders. As we culminate this journey and we look forward to inviting you all to AAROHAN 4.0, I request the summit convener, Dr. Varsha Agarwal, to propose the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Sada. Good evening, everyone. As we draw the curtain on AAROHAN 3.0, it is with immense gratitude and pride that I extend a heartfelt vote of thanks on behalf of the organizing team. Thank you, Dr. Indu Shahani, our founding president and chancellor, for your constant encouragement. To Dr. Rajan Velukar, our vice chancellor, for your guidance and trust. Sincere thanks to Mr. Siddharth Shahani, executive president, for inspiring innovation at every step. A special note of gratitude to Professor Hina Thakkar, our pro vice chancellor administration, who has been actively involved in AAROHAN since its inception. Her consistent support, insights, and commitment have played a key role in shaping the summit year on year. Warm thanks to our other Pro Vice Chancellor, Professor Meena Krishna, Professor Bulbul Chaudhary, our Registrar, Dr. Parag Amin, for their continued encouragement and support. We are deeply grateful to our collaborative partners, University of Bristol, University of Sussex, RMIT University, and Parsons School of Design for their enriching association. Special thanks to our publication partner Springer Nature Atlantis Press for helping us amplify the academic voice of AAROHAN. Special thanks to all the marketing and content team Priyanka, Neelam, Shweta Das, Imran, Prasoon, Faizan, and Prashant for powering the communication engine behind AAROHAN. A huge shout out to the SRDC student team led by our president Khushi Doshi for their relentless energy and dedication. To our esteemed speakers, moderators, and writers, Dr. Sadaf Hashmi, Dr. Chetna Asbe, Dr. Amey Ambulkar, Professor Aditya Kashyap, Dr. Jyoti Kapal, our session chairs, faculty, participants, and students from Atlas and beyond. Thank you for making AAROHAN 3.0 meaningful and impactful. We promise to return with AAROHAN 4.0 bigger, better, and bolder. Until then, thank you and see you again.